Hi, everyone. It's February. There's so much going on in the world and in our own lives. I was inspired to share practice with gentle movement, breath connection, Reiki, and rest for this midwinter moment. So for practice, we will need 2 to 3 blankets, a bolster, perhaps 2 blocks, and maybe a chair or a wall for extra support. And we'll begin seated. So I have 2 mats here and a folded up blanket that I'm sitting on. Take a moment to rock a bit from side to side, and I'm resting my hands on my knees to roll my shoulders back and finding a grounded connection in the space that I'm in. If it feels safe and comfortable for you, you can close your eyes. I'm going to lower my gaze and just find a few moments of breath connection. And one way that we can do that is to bring a hand to the heart space and a hand to the low belly. Breathing in and breathing out, finding connection with this moment, in this body, in the space that you're in. Breathing into your hands. Cultivating a quality of gentleness and care for this practice. Moving slowly and being guided by your own inner wisdom. So everything I share will be optional. Move at your own pace and do what feels right for your body. Transitioning this natural flow of breath, just this awareness of inhale followed by exhale into a deeper, more focused breath. Perhaps you inhale, filling up the body, expanding through the rib cage, and then exhale, releasing the breath. A few more rounds of deeper, more focused connection to your breath. Inhaling, feeling the fullness expand in your body, and exhale, releasing your breath. Removing hands if they're connected to your body, bringing them back down towards the knees and opening your eyes. Just checking out the space that you're in, perhaps the lights that are around you, if you have any windows, maybe looking around outside. And circling around through the shoulders, just becoming connected to this moment. Changing the direction of the shoulders. And I'm also moving in and out of the torso, forward and back, shifting in through the pelvis, bringing in some circles now through the hips. One direction, and then shifting to the other. Into a middle place. Maybe adjusting the seat. I'm extending my arms out to the sides, reaching through the fingers and then opening the palms towards the ceiling. I'm going to connect to my breath with this movement. So inhaling, arms come up. You may follow with your gaze towards the ceiling and then slowly exhaling, arms down. Feel free to move at the pace that's connecting to your own body and breath. One more. Exhale and pause with the arms extended out away from your center. And then I'm flipping my right hand down, releasing the right hand towards the mat, towards the floor, and then walking my hand away from my right hip, and then reaching up with the left arm over towards the right side. I'm going to release my gaze down towards the floor, softening through the head and neck for a full round of breath through the left side of the body. Slowly bringing both arms up towards the center, reaching, you may follow with your gaze. I'm releasing the left arm now. Breath shifts out of the body, and then I'll walk my left hand further away from my left hip and lean in towards the left side. Finding a full round of breath in the right rib cage, the right side body. And then alternating as it feels right for you. So I like reaching the arms up towards center, bringing one hand down, easing into the side stretch. You may connect this movement with your breath, or just allow the breath to move through you. One or two more rounds on each side. And then reaching both arms up towards the ceiling, softening and opening the space between ears and shoulders. And I'm bringing my hands to my shoulders for some elbow circles. These circles may start out small, moving in one direction, and then they may become larger. You can also change the direction of your circles as well. And then we'll pause in the middle with elbows extended out away from our center. And then with some breath connection, inhaling the torso towards the right. Slowly exhaling torso towards the left. Moving slowly, allow the breath to lead. One more round. And then moving back through center, releasing the arms, maybe giving them a shake. I like to bring my hands towards the knees and assist them up through center and extend the legs, giving them a shake. Pointing and flexing the toes here. Circling around through the ankles. Maybe moving through the torso and brushing the legs with the hands, outside of the legs, the inner aspect of the legs, perhaps the low back and the belly, maybe even taking a diagonal hand to shoulder to hip, and then finding the arms swell. And then rooting down through the heels, pointing the toes up. We can open the arms up again, reach the arms up towards the ceiling. Perhaps you draw the breath in here and then exhale, find a twist towards the right. Gently placing my left hand towards my right leg and allowing my right hand to fall anywhere that feels supportive. You may choose to inhale back up through center. And then exhale to the left. Right hand towards the left leg. left hand beside or behind the left hip to support you. Arms can reach back up through center. And then from here, we'll hinge forward at the hips and allow the hands to fall anywhere on the legs. And if it feels okay, you can tuck the chin towards the chest and hang the head heavy. I like to shake my head to the side, right and left. Just finding a bit more release through the upper back, the middle part of the spine. And then from here, I'll draw my hands underneath the knees and gently assist them into flexion. I'll walk my feet a little further away from the center line of the body and then reach back with my hands to support my upper body and drop both knees to the left, up through center, drop both knees to the right. So side to side, shifting and swaying through the knees. Maybe when the knees are towards one side, you'll shift your gaze to the opposite shoulder, just as an option. And then moving back through center, we'll shift into hands and knees or table pose. And again, I have extra blankets and 2 mats underneath me for knee support. So take what you need in your space to support you. I'm going to plant my hands down onto my mat and begin to shift forward and back. Just going to make a slight adjustment with my space. Anything you need in your own space, feel free to do. So hinging forward and back through shoulders and hips, and then perhaps adding in some circles through the hips. So reaching, stretching through the arms as you circle around one direction and then shift to the other side. Finding a middle place where we can roll the shoulders back, drop the front of the pelvis down towards the mat and shift the gaze up to extend through the spine. And then drawing the pelvis under, tucking the chin, rounding the spine here, shifting, swaying side to side. Enjoying some spinal stretching. You may sync this up with your breath. Just notice where your breath goes with the movements. When my spine is rounded, my pelvis is tucked, I like to shift and sway from side to side. And then returning to that middle place, walking the hands forward beyond the shoulders. Option to keep the palms down, fingers open here, or you can come up onto tented fingers, lifting the wrists, and then dropping the head and neck through the arms. So I'm keeping my hips lifted here and just allowing my forehead to hang. It may or may not touch the mat or the floor. But finding a moment here to breathe and connect with the back of the heart space. If your hands are up in tented fingers, you may want to press the palms down, switch things out. You also may want to slightly lift your gaze and see if you can press more of the heart space towards the mat. Slowly lifting through the spine, pressing in towards the hands, sliding the hands back towards the center line of your body. Readjusting the knees, and then drawing this right knee in towards the right arm, the right elbow, and we'll find a full extension of the right leg. I like to find the lift through the right heel and then touch down with the right great toe and then press out through the heel. My gaze will drop down towards my hands, and then I'll even tuck the chin further to try to find my left knee. Readjust my left foot towards the lower left corner of the mat so I have more stability. Bring my left hand closer towards my shoulder, and then see if I can lift up a little bit through this right arm. I might even do some pendulum circles, one direction and then the other. Perhaps you reach with the right arm forward. Maybe that right arm reaches forward and then up and open towards the ceiling. So option here to extend the right leg even further, or maybe even lift up the right leg. So finding this open-hearted position, connecting to breath, pressing down through the top left foot. You may even come up onto tented fingers with that left hand. Another layer of this pose may be to bend through the right knee and find hand to foot, pressing the foot into the hand. Allowing your gaze to come up towards the ceiling or where the wall meets the ceiling. And then finding that full extension. And releasing the right arm down, rotating the hip, and then finding that touch point of right great toe, pressing out through the right heel, and then bringing this right knee back to meet the left. I'm just going to create a little more space for myself, and then rotate here. And we'll try that on the other side. So you may want to rock forward and back, take a moment with that left hand that was supporting you, rotating to the top of the hand, curling the fingers to the center of the palm may feel nice. Shifting the weight to the top of the right foot, and we'll draw this left knee in towards the left arm, towards the left elbow, and then find full extension to the left leg. Leading through the heel, and then dropping the toes down, pressing out through the left heel. My gaze is down between the hands. I've tucked my chin, so now I can see my right knee. I'm opening up my right foot towards the lower right corner of my mat, and then drawing this right hand closer towards the center line of the body, near my right shoulder, and then shifting the weight towards the right. And then from here, I might be able to dangle that left arm again, finding those pendulum circles on this side. Perhaps those circles open up and they become a bit larger, and you may find that you want to reach the left arm forward. Just seeing how that feels through the shoulder, and then maybe reaching that left arm up towards the ceiling. From here, you're always able to make adjustments with the right hand that's down, and perhaps you have a lift to the left leg as well. So breathing in and out through this open-hearted position. Staying right here, or choosing to bend the knee and finding hand to foot. Pressing foot into the hand, allowing the breath to move in and out of the body. Reaching that left arm back up, extending the left leg. Release the left arm down towards the right, rotating through the left hip, and then dropping that left great toe back down towards the mat. Drawing this left knee in to meet the right. We'll open up the knees to the width of your yoga mat and draw the great toes together. From here, you may choose to walk the hands towards your knees just to have a lift through the torso. I like some side-to-side movement here. You may even circle out through your wrists. Maybe bring the thumb to touch each finger. So pressing through the fingertip pads, one finger at a time. And then reaching back. And see where the gaze will take you. So my gaze is going towards where the wall meets the ceiling. So I'm not hanging my head fully back. Of course, if that would feel comfortable for you, feel free. But I'm maintaining some control in my head and neck. This is enough of an opening through my front body. And then I'll keep my right hand where it is, and then slowly let go of my left hand and allow that left arm to sweep across the front of my body, and then sweep it back, bringing that left hand down to anchor, and then reaching the right arm across the body and then back. And we can alternate side to side here. And then you may choose to lift up through the torso as well as you sweep the arm across the body. I'm allowing my head and neck to follow the flow of the movement. I'm not forcing it in any direction. One more time on each side. And then lowering down slowly, walking my hands forward of my shoulders. And a few options here. Actually, I have blocks. You may want to find a block. You can reach forward, holding the hands on the edges of the block, and then slowly lowering the head down any amount. These are wide here. If you have extra supports like blankets or another block, you would like to slide that underneath the forehead. So another great option. And inviting the breath into the body here, creating some spaciousness, connecting back to our heart space, that energetic connection of love and patience, kindness, forgiveness. Emotions that are stored in the heart space. Emotions we may or may not be feeling. Acknowledging the space for what it is. And just as it is. Another option as we come forward in these poses. So any pose where we come forward is a more introspective option here. So I'm lifting up my forehead and I'm releasing my hands from my block and I'm bending at my elbows. I'm going to bring my palms together. Just rub them briskly, bringing in some warmth into the center palms. And then I'm slowly going to bring those warm hands to my eyes. So I'm resting the base of my palms on my cheekbones. The center of the palms are curved and I have my fingers that can press against the forehead. This is a nice way to bring in an optional Reiki self-holding technique. So Reiki is a practice of healing and balance. You can send positive intention through the hands. And the hands, of course, are extensions of our heart. So I choose to practice Reiki and share Reiki, combining it with yoga, but really as a form of holding, caring, and supporting. Other options may be to just fold the forearms and gently place the forehead on the forearms, or stack up some props. Slowly, I'm releasing my hands, reaching them back towards the block that is in front of me, whatever prop you may have. Finding release through the back of the neck, shaking from side to side. Slowly sliding one hand towards the center line of the body and then the other hand, moving slowly through these transitions, walking the hands forward to lift up through the hips and then realigning your knees. I'm going to curl my toes under and then enjoy some rock backs here. And then I'm also going to reach back and find that other block that I have and then stack my blocks up on the medium level, squeezing the blocks, curling toes under. And as I hinge forward and back, I'm creating some momentum, pressing my hands into the blocks, squeezing the blocks, pressing the feet down into the floor, and then hovering the knees. So I'll hold here for one round of breath. And then slowly lift the hips up a bit higher. And then pedal out through the feet, bending one knee and then the other. I've been enjoying dropping one knee down and then picking the other one up and dropping that one down. So just alternating knee down side to side. Coming back to a place where we can connect to breath and perhaps explore the distance of the feet, opening up the distance here. Small toes can line up with the edge of the yoga mat, widening your stance. I'm going to slowly shift forward and walk my feet towards my hands, pick up the blocks to the higher edge. And then as I continue to walk forward, I'm going to bring my right foot in front of the left. So crossing at the ankles, holding onto the blocks with my palms, and then slowly shifting. So I come up onto the tips of my fingers and then extend through the crown of my head. You may want to draw the breath into the body here and then release, palms down on the edges of the blocks as you release the head and neck. You also may want to bend the knees. And we'll do that one more time, just bring up onto tips of the fingers, extending through the crown of the head. And then releasing, chin to chest, folding forward. Bending the knees even more, releasing and unpeeling this right heel. Right foot comes behind the left. So now the left foot is in front Ankles are still crossed. We adjust the imprint of the foot, come up onto tented fingers here. So the tips of the fingers touching the edges of the block, extend through the crown of the head. You may want to draw a breath into the body here and then palms down on the blocks and release, chin to chest. One more lift. On the tips of those fingers, extend through the crown of the head. Palms down, release, chin to chest. I'm unpeeling this left heel, pressing into my left toes, and then bringing my left foot alongside the right. I'm going to open up my feet a little wider than hip width here. Bend into the knees, and then transition my hands from my blocks onto my thighs. Pressing into the thighs, rolling shoulders back and down, and you may want to sit here in your imaginary chair, just rock forward and back for a moment, leaning into heels, toes, and lifting up through the crown of the head. Hands may come to the hips, and then we'll slowly stand up. From here, we'll open up the palms, reach the arms up overhead, and then slowly hinge forward through the hips, reaching the arms forward. Hands will find the blocks again. This time we'll shift the weight into the right foot and then step back with the left foot. So if your blanket's in the way, you may just want to fold it up and shift it off to the side. Walk the right foot in if you need to. Walk the left foot forward. But we're hinged forward with the hips and hanging the head heavy. So this is pyramid pose. Toes are facing the same direction towards perhaps the short edge of your yoga mat if you're using a mat for your practice. And then I find this pose that I'm always holding in it. So trying to find some softening or some release in the upper part of the body. And I'm aiming for 3 rounds of breath. Inhale and exhale. When you feel complete, you can lift through the crown of the head, bend into this right leg and step forward with the left. And again, shift the hands from the blocks to the thighs by bending into the knees. And we'll move back upright again with that standing chair pose. So sitting in your imaginary chair, rolling the shoulders back and down, lifting up through the torso. And then the hands may come to the hips here, and we slowly stand up. So again, the palms can open once you're standing. We'll reach the arms up overhead. And then hinging forward at the hips, we'll reach the hands forward. Hands will find the blocks again, and this time we'll step back with the right leg. So toes are facing the same direction. Make any adjustments that are needed, finding pyramid pose on this left side, and hanging the head, tucking the chin towards the chest. Aiming for a round of 3 whole body breaths. Pressing hands into the blocks, slowly lifting the gaze. Bending into this left knee and then bringing the right foot to meet the left. You may want to walk forward with the blocks slightly. And then from here, we're going to rotate the blocks to that medium edge and then walk the feet back into downward dog supported with the blocks. So props are options. If you have them, great. If not, you can just press the palms into the mat, taking some time to pedal press through the feet. Again, that knee down tap towards the mat may be an option, something you may want to explore. And then shifting the hips back up. I enjoy coming all the way up onto the tiptoes and then dropping both heels down towards the lower right corner of the mat. Coming back up through center on the tiptoes, lifting the heels, dropping both heels down to the lower left corner of the mat. Coming back up through center and then shifting the body forward. So we come in a supported plank pose. So I'm squeezing my blocks here. Just coming forward and then hinging back into downward dog. There's always options to widen your stance, widen the blocks or the props or your hands, hinging forward and then hinging back. You may want to sync this with your breath and see what works for you and your body. One more, and then I'm going to drop my knees down towards the mat. Pressing back through the heels. One knee comes down, the other knee comes down. Tapping out through the tops of the feet. Shifting the blocks to the side. I'm just going to adjust this microphone here for a moment. And then ease yourself down onto your belly. So perhaps the forearms come down first, belly to mat. And we take a moment to rock from side to side. Perhaps lifting up one leg and then the other. Rolling shoulders back and down. You may want to curl the toes under here and just see what it feels like to engage through the low body. Perhaps the knees lift and part of the thighs will lift as well. And you can press the forearms into the mat. My hands, my palms are also pressing down. There's space between my fingers. And then I'm lowering. The tops of the feet can rest again and lowering the legs down. So holding Sphinx pose for a few rounds of breath. And the other option is to come up with the torso into seal pose. So that's a straighter arm position. And what I like to do is first reach my hands out to the edges of my mat. So some of my fingers are hanging off the edge. And then I push into my palms and lift up through my elbows. So just, again, exploring these shapes, seeing what works, what feels right for your body. And in this seal pose, this lifted back bend, my navel is also lifted. So the front of the pelvis is pressing down. And I'm enjoying a few rounds of breath here. When you feel content, if you're up in seal pose and you want to lower down, just bend the elbows. Come on back down to the forearms. If you've been in Sphinx pose this whole time, then we will transition now into rest on the belly. So crocodile rest is great. You can fold the forearms. You can stack your forehead onto your forearms. You can turn your head to one side. And just feel the body from the observation of your breath. When your belly is down, connected to the mat, to the floor, there's a slight restriction on the inhale. So enjoy the breath coming in slowly, and then exhale slowly as well. It's nice to shift and move the body into gravity in different ways, and then enjoy the breath in different planes as well. At this point, you may want to bend at the knee and then flutter kick the legs. You may even shift the feet from side to side. I'm going to lift up my legs and just realign my knees, and then bring my hands underneath my shoulders. So I'm prepping myself to engage the body and press myself back up. So there's a couple options here. You can press your hands into the mat and then lift the torso up with knees down and hinge back. So this is one option. The other option will be to curl the toes under and lift up the whole body and hinge back into downward dog. So option to have a high plank and downward dog, shift. Or option to have knees down and hinge back. If you're up in downward dog, we'll drop the knees down and we'll all meet in table pose. So I'm just moving some things around in my space. Props are great, but just have to reach for them. So I'm finding that folded blanket. I'm going to place it in front of me and then bring my hands to the blanket. From here, I'm going to do some half arm raises and then thread the arm underneath the opposite arm. So I'm bringing my right hand underneath the gaze and extending this left arm out to the side. And I like this hinge back through the hips. As I hinge back through my hips, I may be able to reach that left arm up a little bit more, and then half thread it underneath the right arm. So left arm reaches, threading underneath the right. And you may choose to thread this whole left arm underneath the right and come down onto the left shoulder, the left side of the head. I'm keeping my hips lifted here, and then I'm reaching my right arm forward. I'm going to keep everything down, so the back of the left hand is pressing down into the floor, tops of my feet are pressing down, and my right palm is also pressing down. So other options that you may feel called to do are just reaching the right arm up overhead towards the ceiling, or folding that right forearm back behind you. So these are all options. These are add-ons. I'm going to keep my arm reaching forward. I like that earth connection today. Moving into space for breathing and sensation. When you feel complete or content with this pose, you can slide the right hand towards the right shoulder. Press into that right arm strength to lift yourself up. Readjust. And now the left hand will come underneath the gaze. And the right arm will extend out to the side. So again, that hinge back with the hips may allow the right arm to extend a bit further, and then half thread this right arm underneath the left. And then move in and out like this, alternating the lift and the lowering. And if you feel called to thread that right arm underneath the left, you can slide it in, coming down onto the right shoulder, the right side of the head, and pressing the back of the right hand into the floor. I'm keeping my left hand down, reaching forward. Again, you may have the option or the inclination to reach that left arm up or then bind it behind you. So choose what feels right for your body and connect to breath there. When this pose feels complete, we slide the left hand towards the left shoulder. Use the strength of that left arm to press ourselves up and unravel the right arm. Moving slowly as we transition out. And then from here, I'm going to keep this folded blanket on my mat. Walk myself forward, crossing at the ankles and coming into a seat. I have 2 folded blankets and a bolster here, and I thought I would use at least one of these props and place the others to the side. So if you don't have a bolster, you can just fold up a blanket or even use a pillow here. So let's find a moment to extend the legs, roll the shoulders back. You may even use the hands to gently assist the feet into flexion. And then have your prop, either your pillow or your bolster or folded blanket near you, and we'll release the spine down towards the mat. And then again, come into extended leg. So just finding a moment here with the back of the head on the floor, the heels making contact, the hips, and noticing the parts of the body that don't make contact to the mat, to the blanket, to the floor. Just finding all those negative spaces, readjusting yourself into this space. You may want to just flex and point the feet, just paddling the feet a little bit, and gently creating a bit of momentum and massaging through the back spine, the head. May feel nice as the nervous system reset. And then slowing that movement down. I'm going to reach my arms up overhead, stretch through the whole body, may even point the toes here. And then as I release the arms, I'm going to bring my right knee in and then cradle or hold this right knee. Draw the arms back up as I extend that right leg. And then this time bringing in the left knee. Hugging in and alternating sides. You may sync this up with your breath. See what feels right for you for inhale and exhale. moving from side to side. Next time we have the right knee in, you may want to just hold that right knee with the right hand, bring the left knee in, find the left hand to the left knee, and then just rock a bit from side to side. You may even drop both knees all the way to the side, opening up the opposite arm, and then alternating that. So the knees drop to the other side, and you open and extend the opposite arm. So just moving in and out of lying spinal twist. One more time on each side. And shifting back to the middle place, dropping the feet down towards the mat, and then finding that pillow or bolster or rolled up blanket. And we will lift the pelvis up and slide the prop underneath the pelvis. Just having a higher lift, very gentle. You can imagine this is a very gentle, supported bridge pose. So pausing here, hands can rest on your soft belly, and then just feel the crest of your ribs. Breathing there into your hands. From here, just walking the feet in a little bit closer towards the pelvis and keeping the left foot down on the mat. We'll draw the right knee in. And then maybe with the right hand assistant, you will open up through the right hip and the right knee and gently place this right foot on top of the left thigh. You may just hold here in this opening. So this is one option. The next option is to unpeel the left heel and then the left foot up. And you may draw this left knee in and out. So the sole of the left foot is parallel to a side wall in the room or the space that you're in. You may just rock a little bit here. Maybe your arms release down alongside your body, or maybe you find that you want to reach towards this left leg. So the hands can be on either side of the leg. You can also interlace the fingers behind the left thigh. Just options here. And then you can move in and out with that left leg. You may find the extension, allowing the sole of the left foot to be parallel to the ceiling and then again the wall. So option to move in and out, option to move out of something that you've chosen. So many layers. Listen to the body. And connect to breath. If you have the hands bound around that left thigh, you may want to release them. You may even want to stretch the arms up overhead. Allow the breath to come into the body and then bring the hands to that right foot and maybe massage the foot a little bit. Bringing some warmth to the tips of the toes. The heels, the sole of the foot. And then gently assist that right foot off the left thigh and touch down with the right foot. If your left knee is lifted, we can gently assist it up and bring that left foot to the top of the right thigh And just feel things out from side to side. Maybe make an adjustment with the prop that's supporting your pelvis. Holding here, just rocking a little bit from side to side. So noticing any differences from right to left. And stay here. You can also unpeel the right heel. Pop up through that right foot. Maybe holding here in this option. Sole of the right foot pointing towards the side wall in your space, the room that you're in. You may reach the arms up overhead. You may feel called to hold on to that right thigh. So you can hold the hands on either side of the thigh. You can interlace the fingers behind the right thigh. Just trying things out, exploring and be creative. Staying curious with all the layers that are offered. You may want to move in and out this right knee, extending the right leg up towards the ceiling. Connecting to breath, whichever option you've chosen. Releasing the hands if they're woven around this right thigh. You may want to stretch the arms up overhead. Full breath in the body. Bring the hands to your left foot for a gentle massage, getting perhaps in between the toes, the tips of the toes, soles of the foot, heel. And then gently using the hands to remove that left foot from the right leg, circling out through the ankles, one direction and then the other. Still perhaps adjusting your pelvis on the prop. Taking a moment to extend both legs up towards the ceiling, point and flex the toes. Hands can rest on the belly here. They can be alongside your body. But just find a moment where you can elevate your legs for a round or two of breath and just shifting the circulation in your body. Shifting your mental and emotional energy. Creating different shapes in the body, moving slowly. And bringing a bend to the knees and touching down with the toes and then the feet. So I'll pause here, perhaps with the knees together and the feet out towards the width of the yoga mat. I'm just going to rest my hands on my low belly. And there's so many options to shift into for a restorative shape and enjoy some time for rest. So if you have a wall in your space, or if you have a chair or a piece of furniture, you can scoot yourself so you have your legs up the wall or you have your legs on a chair. You can use blankets and bolsters, props to support you in your practice. But this being winter, I always suggest layers of clothing. Bringing in that extra warmth can help the nervous system to relax. You may choose to have an eye pillow or a layer of fabric or washcloth just resting over your eyes to soften the muscles of your face. So many options, so many choices. I'm going to just use what I have in my space here to close out our practice. So I have the bolster, the prop still underneath the pelvis, I'm going to walk my feet in a bit, lift my pelvis higher up, and just slide this bolster down. So now it's resting underneath my thighs. I have a slight lift of the low body from the pelvis here. And then enjoying the hands on the belly to feel the breath move in and out. You may choose to bring one hand slightly lower and one hand above, but connecting to that space, that soft space of the belly. Our place of power and confidence and empowerment. And bringing hands to the body is always a choice. You always have the option to have hands hovering or just imagining the space as well. You may want to hold one hand to the belly and one hand to the heart space. Holding your heart, your belly, breathing here. In the world that we live in, being open-hearted is quite vulnerable. Balancing that out with a place of confidence, feeling true and connected and authentic with who we are. And I feel that this practice of yoga is such a beautiful practice of self-discovery, carving out space to gift ourselves with reminding us we are. Being true to ourselves, being true to the moment. And using all the resources we have to hold care and support ourselves along the way. Your choice of pose of rest is deeply personal. Feel free to shift or move in and out, change your shape at any time. If you have a few moments to practice a longer rest, I encourage you to do so. But we'll stay here for a few more moments together and close out practice as we rest together.